Nick's motion to get a Franks hearing in his second-degree felony case for drug possession around his children while he had guns in the house. Well, that motion was to get a hearing to see if he could get the search warrant thrown out, which if he did would basically collapse the state's whole case against him.
Yeah.
And it's over. It's all done. So he went for this. So his motion was not to have it thrown out. His motion was just to get in a building where he could argue whether or not
it should be thrown
the warrant should be thrown out. So this is like, it's 30-3, and you're just trying to get back into the game. You're just trying to make this competitive. The judge picked him off at the 20-yard line and ran it in for a touchdown.
Oh, shit.
The judge yesterday, it really, really sucks for Nick on this one. He had three main points of why the warrant should be thrown out. He accused the officer of lying. He said...
that's always a good idea.
Yeah, that Pomplin was lying. Now, he's accused other members of the county of being lying liars who lie, to which I would say, takes one to know one. Nobody has lied during this whole thing more than Nick has. And the poor guy, I don't even know if he knows he's a liar. I think he is so wrapped up in his own reality. I think that he convinces himself that the things he says are true. That's how you can be such an egregious, obvious liar. Because remember, when this whole Franks challenge came out, people said, this is fucked, you're done. Like, this is embarrassing, this is terrible, this is awful. All these lawyer people. And Nick went on his stream, and all these lawyer people are stupid, and if you listen to all these fucking lawyer people, you're an idiot, and all these people are retarded, and blah, 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 blah. And the Kiwi Farms lawyer people are retarded. Well, they all ended up not only being right, but I think they ended up being more right than they thought they would. And this whole thing has tentacles that reaches out into everything. So the judge on all three bitches, on all three complaints that Nick had. Number one, hey, Candiota County Health and Human Services said that when the pastor wanted the house checked on for child abuse, Candiota County didn't find sufficient evidence to go and, check on the child abuse thing. So therefore, Deputy Pomplin lied when he included the pastor and all that stuff in the warrant. Well, the judge said, whoa, no. Deputy Pomplin did not lie about that. That was included as part of the reason to go search your house for drugs. And then there was the video of you. And then there was Aaron's video of you. And then, there were all these other things. That was just part of it. And just because Candiota County didn't see a reason to go to the house and check on the kids doesn't mean that it wasn't reported to the authorities. It absolutely was. So Nick got smacked down on that account. Then there was, and I think this is the most embarrassing one, where he's accused Deputy Pomplin of lying because Deputy Pomplin said that Nick and myself had a falling out, that we were friends and we had a falling out. And Nick said, well, he's lying because it was way worse than that. It was God. Yeah. That sounds gay, dude.
Yeah, that sounds like you were in love.
Yes, that sounds like you were in love. And Nick has only provided more evidence of that as time has gone on. And regardless of how I feel about him personally, I'm embarrassed for him in that, not this case. I mean, just that part about me and every, where it's gone. I'm embarrassed. It's embarrassing. So he says, well, Deputy Pomplin lied because it was way worse than a falling out. And he didn't include every single bad thing Aaron said about me. And the judge said, well, look, asshole, he doesn't have to. He's providing evidence for a search. He wants a search warrant, and these are the things pertinent to that search warrant. He doesn't have to catalog every meanie-bajini thing Aaron's ever said about you. This is what the judge found to be pertinent. Not only did Aaron say that, play the video of you with coke on your nose and say he's doing coke in there, Aaron also snitched on himself and said that he did it. And Aaron also pointed out where in the house everything was, and it turned out to be there. He said the veracity of Aaron's comments were substantiated. And so not only did Nick get felted on, kind of being gay about it, but they also said, no, what Aaron said was actually very material to this whole thing. It's very helpful towards the search warrant. That stands. The last thing that Nick said was that, well, Deputy Pomplin didn't watch my whole stream, which seems like a punishment.
How does, if he saw the part that was incriminating, what does the rest of it do?
Well, not only that, he said, you have the full video. He says Pomplin watched a clip, and then he says, and even if he did watch the whole video, I took my video down, so he watched a re-uploaded version. So, the judge came out and said, that doesn't matter. I looked at the videos. They're not edited. They're not altered. They're good. This is fine. This stands too. So it was strike one, strike two, strike three. You're out. And the judge said, no more hearings about this fucking bullshit. This is done. This is over. Not only that, Nick trying to get this thrown out led the judge to have to state his opinion that not only should the warrant stand, but he said, yeah, they found there was cocaine in your house. Yes, there were children in your house. Yes, there were guns in your house. All of these things happened. So basically Nick kind of forced the judge's hand for the judge to go, everything you're accused of, they have.
Did.
Yeah. So this was not only a loss, this was a put all your chips in the middle of the table loss. The next step is a plea. The next reasonable step is a plea.
Do you think that's going to happen? What's his lawyer going to say?
That's different. Now you're asking, now I'm glad you asked that question because those are two different questions. Those are two different statements altogether. True statement. The next step should be a plea. Even the judge said the next step in this process is a settlement hearing. Now, I can talk about this because it's public record. It was part of the, not guilty plea and everything else. I have a settlement conference coming for December, and that's all I'll say because that's public record. You go to a settlement conference so everybody can sit down and we can find a way to figure this thing out that works for everybody. Let's get, the state doesn't want to burn through money on any case. The state doesn't want to burn through money unnecessarily on any case at all. And they want to offer something. And then the other side, the thing about a settlement hearing that's better than, say, just receiving deal offers is that now everybody can sit down in the same room and do a little horse trading. You can say, does this work? Does that work? Can we make this work? Because basically what everyone's saying is, if everyone comes into the room saying, look, we all want this thing to be over with, then you can have yourself a settlement conference. We get this whole thing figured out. We can all move on with our lives. We can be done. Or you can do a settlement conference and say, fuck you, I'm going to trial. Now, if you go to trial and lose, you can appeal.
Right.
If you plead, you can't appeal. That's it. It's done. You figure it out. Now, the advantage of pleading is that everything can get knocked down a little bit. And if you cooperate, no jail time. You'll get a prison sentence. Like, I don't know enough about this, but I would guess that because the felony's up in the sky at second degree, and because the state has more than enough evidence to prove that charge, if there is a plea deal, there will have to be some kind of felony plea. I would agree with you that honestly, if Nick's going to be stuck with the second degree charge, if they're not going to budge on that second degree felony charge, might as well go to trial. In my opinion, I mean, fuck it.
I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. But if you can't get rid of that second degree felony, I mean, that's a bitch. You might as well go fight the thing because even if he fights it, he's not going to prison right away. Yeah, it says 25 years, and that's a scary number, and like a $500,000 fine. But for a first-time drug offense, I don't think anyone's going to want to take up a prison cell with creepy-ass Nick Rekieta. I don't think anybody's going to want to take up a prison cell with that. So he'll get a prison sentence. It will be stayed. He'll get a shitload of probation if he fights it. And if he violates the probation, he will go to prison. And that probation will include probably a couple years of him being tested for drugs, maybe alcohol, but I don't know about that. People keep saying he might be tested for alcohol. My thing is alcohol's not an illegal substance, and this isn't a DUI. So I don't know if are they allowed to tell him he can't drink?
I don't know.
I don't think they can. I know for the CPS thing they can, because that's different. That's getting your kids back and everything.
Yeah, but like if you're an addict and you can't engage in certain drugs, sometimes addicts will switch off to another one. So, I mean, like a lot of people, when they can't do heavier stuff, they cut down to marijuana. So like, I'm California sober. So like, what if, like, oh, I don't need to do this. but I need something to take the edge off. A little bit of whiskey will do it.
Okay. So yeah, I don't think if they're not going to budge on the 2nd-degree felony charge, honestly, I think if there's any felony charge, if they want him to plead to a felony, you might be right. Might as well fight the damn thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to prison. Fight the felony charge. The only difference is you could plead down to like what they originally had with that 5th degree when they first arrested him before they weighed everything. And if they go down to that, maybe you find that more palatable. I don't know, because then the maximum probation I think they can give you is like 2 or 3 years. But yeah, if they don't budge on that 2nd degree, then I guess fight it. So you're going with he's going to fight this thing.
I'm going with he's going to fight this.
Well,
thing.
Then that also doesn't speak to the gross misdemeanor on the guns and the gross misdemeanor on the child neglect. The other thing is that child neglect charge was made before the test that showed that the kid tested positive for cocaine. So could they be upcharging from that? Oh, remember, more charges can always come in. So
here's my guess. If it was, if you want to argue against child endangerment, I wasn't endangering my child, but here's proof I was medicating one of them. Doing the right thing.
Honestly, based on all the other shit that he's thrown out in court, might as well give that one a shot. I mean, it makes about as much sense as his Frank's challenge. But I don't know where it goes from here, because I can see either one. A reasonable man would cut a deal. But as you mentioned, we're not talking about a reasonable man here. So maybe he does go to trial. Maybe he does fight it. We will see. Also, we get to find out how much his words have hurt him, how much the shit talking he's done has hurt him, how much calling everybody a liar has hurt him. I've talked to lawyers who have said, look, technically, will all of that affect how he's treated by the prosecutors? Technically, no. Lights and clockwork, no. But these people are human as well. And your personal feelings can sometimes sneak into this shit where you're like, this fucking little dickhead. No, fuck him. So who knows how that's going to work. But that was that's everything from yesterday. That's what happened. The other thing that happened in that was that this forced the judge to watch the whole 4.5 hour video.
Uh-oh.
Which is going to
piss him off more.
Yeah, it's going to make anybody cranky. Well, in that video, as you know, Nick talks about Judge Fisher.
Uh-oh, that's right.
And he talks about the things her vagina produces and things like that. And he's really, really off his fucking rocker about this Judge Fisher. Well, Judge Fisher is the judge presiding over his defamation lawsuit that Montygraph put on him, and in April's criminal case. Or at least was. That judge has now recused herself from both cases. So it could be that Judge Fisher never heard that these comments that Nick made until Judge Wenzel had to go and listen to them to review this case. And maybe the theory that people are working with is that Judge Wenzel then was duty bound to go and tell Judge Fisher about these things. And she decided, well, I'm fucking done with this. I'm recusing myself.
So he's getting a new judge in that case.
Judge Wenzel.
What's April going to get then?
Judge Wenzel. There aren't that many judges in Candy, Ohio County. It's a small county.
Oh,
So now
fucked.
everybody's got Judge Wenzel. And I think Judge Wenzel's patience is probably running out as well. So there we go. That's what we know now. Let me be franks. That's the end of what we know at the moment.